Welcome into the Sports Objective. 50 Pirates in 50 days. We're so excited to bring this to you this summer. And, of course, the man behind 50 Pirates in 50 days, Bubba Rosenbaum. How are you, man?
Doing well, Dave. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you so much. A big hit last year. So in 2019, we brought it back. Summer of 2020. And, it's kind of like, where are they now? Meets Pirate Nation. And very excited to have our next Pirate up tonight.
Yeah, this guy, he's an Eastern North Carolina guy, actually began his career at NC State before transferring back to Greenville in East Carolina. Welcome into the show, former Pirate defensive lineman Kadre Hooker.
Thanks for having me, Bubba and Dave. It's a pleasure to be on.
Very excited to have you on. And before we get started, obviously we'll talk about what you're doing now later, but I wanted to ask you, I know Coach Houston was on Pirate Radio Live, PRL, this afternoon with Troy Dreyfus. One of the things I'm very excited about is maybe we have inexperience, but we have a lot of talent at your position of defensive lineman on the Pirates this year. And I just want to get your thoughts on Coach Houston and maybe that position. Some folks are worried, but I think that these guys with the right coaching and they have a lot of talent. I'm really excited at that position might be a blessing this year.
Yeah, well, games are won up front on the offensive side of the ball and defensive side of the ball. I think Coach Houston, he seems to have those guys going in the right direction. You got to be a war daddy when you're in the trenches. So, it's going to be interesting to see those guys compete. Like I said, Coach Houston seemed to have those guys working really hard. I've been following the program, from afar, but they seem like they, fired up and ready to get back at it.
Well, they say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. I know you went to NC State being a local guy. You go to NC State. How did that we'll start there. How did you go from Eastern North Carolina to NC State? And then if you can talk about your transferring back to Greenville to ECU.
Well, the recruitment process, it started really early for me. My high school coach was a really good coach and was well connected. So NC State, they jumped on me from the time I was a freshman, and
Wow.
We just built that relationship. I felt really comfortable with Tom O'Brien and his staff, Coach Willis and those guys. They did a really good job of, making me a priority. And then it also helped that, my parents had moved to Raleigh my junior year in high school. So I was like, man, it's like I get to go home. I get to play big time football in the ACC and be close to my parents. So that was a plus. Like I said, they jumped on me from the beginning. And ECU did as well. But when you're 16, 17-year-old kid, you're looking at the facilities, you get caught up in, the jerseys and, these mega facilities. And I thought NC State at the time had some of the best facilities in the nation. And, I visited, quite a few universities. And like I said, I thought NC State facilities, was top notch. I got to NC State. I redshirted my freshman year under Tom O'Brien. I felt really good about, the upcoming season. But, Tom O'Brien, got fired. And so then it's like, well, and now you got to get used to a new staff, new system. And I just, I thought Dave Dorian, I thought he came in and done a really good job. I just didn't think it was a good fit for me. So, I waited it out and, see if it was going to be a good fit before I kind of just jumped the gun and transferred out. But when I realized it wouldn't be a good fit, I kind of opened up some of those relationships I had, when I was getting recruited. And so I reached out to Coach Ruff and, once I was able to and, just express my interest in, coming back to Eastern North Carolina and playing for a coach that I felt comfortable with. So it was a smooth transition, very smooth transition.
Bubba, you're on mute.
Talk a little about that transition, Kadre. You referenced Coach Ruff. Obviously, it's well documented, and people talk all the time about how good he is on the recruiting trail, and being a closer. And you obviously had a good relationship with him, which would obviously make you want to reach out to him when you made that decision to leave NC State. And so just talk a little about Coach Ruff, who I guess coincidentally or ironically now is back or not back. In the state of North Carolina again at NC State on the staff with Dave Dorn.
Yeah, Coach Ruff. What's interesting about Coach Ruff is, the whole time that ECU was recruiting me, and even when I played at ECU, our conversations was rarely about ball. It was about being a better man, life after football. And so that was very important to me as I, grew older. I think Coach Ruff is an asset to whatever program he's at. He was, a huge factor in me coming back to ECU. I knew that he would have my best interest. I knew that, he would have the players' best interest. So it was a no-brainer. I didn't have to relearn a staff. For the most part, that whole staff was still the same from when I was getting recruited. So like I said, Coach Ruff, for me, he's phenomenal. I'm jealous that NC State got him, but, they got a great tool there. Hopefully they use him to their advantage. But yeah, Coach Ruff, he's one of my favorite.
Yeah, no doubt about it. In fact, he and Doran are good friends, and the fact of the matter is, this gives him an opportunity. Being his house is in Clayton, that's where he's living now with Miss Erlene, and so this gives him an opportunity to coach, but yet he can also be close to his dad. His dad his health has not been great of recent times, and so you can't blame a man. He's actually a really good man to think about. He was at Oklahoma knocking at the door for a national championship, and you come back home to look and be closer to your dad. You can coach anytime. He has been a head coach, and he has coached for many years, but you only get one dad. And that really, to me, I don't care what university he's at, I'm just proud of him for that decision. He made the right decision to come back home and be closer to home to his dad.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that speaks volumes about the kind of guy that he is. He built his program on family first. And, to see him do that, that just solidifies, who he is as a man.
So, Kahadre, take us back when you were coming into the East Carolina program. The Pirates are coming off a 8-win season in 2012, had made it to a bowl down in New Orleans, unfortunately.
Hey, can you say that again? I think you cut out.
In 2013, when you were having to sit out, and we had the likes of Terry Williams, the swamp monster in the trenches. So talk about Terry and then some of the other guys that were playing on the defensive front when you were coming into the program.
Oh yeah, man! Terry, Jonathan White, Krishan Rose, Dimitri McGill, all those guys. They were phenomenal. Great teammates. It was exciting to see those guys practice. See them play in the game, dominate the line of scrimmage. I enjoyed that year that I was able to sit out. When I transferred over, I was able to learn a lot from those guys. Those guys love football. Coach Yellock did a really good job of coaching and teaching, and that group right there was a fun group. We were a really fun group.
And everything when you were talking earlier about, certainly, Kadri, about the offensive defensive line, Coach Houston talked about that today, and I don't think as many coaches take notice of the wins and losses as far as the offensive line and defensive line are concerned, but it really does make a huge difference, because if you're getting beat all day, dominated on one side of the ball or the other, then that could be a long day for that team, right? If you're not doing well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's important to be good up front, no matter if it's offensively or defensively. I think your lines have to be the foundation of your team. We can't hear you.
Sorry.
Yeah, Bubba, you're on.
Yeah, my kids are coming in and out, so I've been muting, and I forgot that I've muted myself. I'm trying to not have so much background noise. But no, after that 2013 season, and we had won 10 ball games, we were transitioning from Conference USA to the American, and so much promise going into that 2014 season. We were so good offensively, and then we certainly held our own defensively after the first year under Coach Rick Smith. So talk about that 2014 year and being able to get back on the field.
Well, 2014 was obviously my first year playing there. It felt good to be on the field. It felt really good to get out there and compete with those guys that you work out with every day. You're in class, study hall, the weight room. So to get out there and play with those guys and have their back, it was exciting. It was, like I said, it was a fun group to play with. And we all still, communicate today. We were really good friends. And then again, in practice, we went against an offensive line that was, in my opinion, was pretty good. So to get to practice against our offense, it made us even better on defense. There's not too many offenses in the country that was like ours at the time with, Shane at quarterback, Hardy and Hardy at receiver, Isaiah at receiver, and then, with CJ and JT anchoring the line. I mean, it was exciting. I had a time of my life.
And Kadri, about that very thing with that team, you guys are special because you guys had the very fact of a lot of winning, and in recent times we haven't, which is unfortunate. It's still hard for me to say. I know that we do these shows like every day, and to have to say that we've had 5 straight losing seasons and praying for not a 6th one. I don't know, Bubba. Maybe Bubba's a stats man. I don't know if that has happened where we've had 6 straight losing seasons. I'm not aware if it has, but not that I can think of offhand. But it's been a long time if we have. And for you guys though, that you had coming into the program, Ruff was on a roll at the time, and I know that certainly things were a lot better than unfortunately the guys have had to deal with the last few years in the locker room.
Yeah, well, you said it. Winning is contagious. So, when you're constantly winning, the environment is a great environment. Everybody's happy. Everybody's on one page. Everybody feel like their hard work is paying off. And I think the biggest thing for us was we had coaches who built our confidence. I felt like every week we felt like we can line up and compete with anybody in the country, and we really embraced that. Our coaches didn't make it too hard on us. They just let us play football. And I think sometimes – coaches can complicate the game so much that guys are playing slow. And like I said, playing for Coach Ruff, Coach Smith, Coach L. Locke, and those guys, I mean, they just let us play football. And I think that's the biggest thing, when guys can go out there and have fun and they don't have to, worry about making mistakes. That's when you get a good product.
And that very thing is, Kadri, with you said somebody that means a lot to us on this program, and that's Rick Smith. I've heard so many times, and I will get your take because you played for him as when he was a defensive coordinator. I think when you said that very thing, sometimes guys can do themselves as far as they're a great football mind, where they're not good at breaking it down. And when you said the word simplify, that is so true. And I think the one thing I've heard over and over again about Coach Rick Smith coming back as a D coordinator, I think in 2013, was he took the defense and he simplified it, and he has a way of, and I've said this last night, I think he has a way of explaining things to even those of us that are not football minds where we can understand it.
Yeah, again, they made the defense simple for us. Basically, it was a see ball, get ball approach, and it allowed us to play fast. You had to get on us when we made mistakes, but the guys knew that they wasn't attacking us personally. They was attacking us as football players. So, we didn't worry about playing slow. We didn't worry about, making sure we hit the right gap or having the perfect fit. At the end of the day, our job was to get after the quarterback or the ball carrier and make plays. And so those coaches did a really good job of simplifying everything and, letting us play. And to put it in perspective, I remember coming to when I transferred to ECU and I got my defensive playbook, I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is it. At State, our playbook I felt like was 5 binders thick. At ECU it was, a little one subject notebook type deal. The plays were simple, and like I said, we was able to have fun, and I appreciate that as a player because trying to learn all these concepts, it can slow you down.
Yeah, the situation we're talking about, the same thing had taken place, back about a decade earlier. Going from John Thompson to Skip Holt's staff. Rick Smith was a big part of that defensive staff as well, with Greg Hudson, who we hope to have on the show here soon. Coach Hud will be joining us, but I knew that's one of the things that they really emphasized, talking about, just coming in and playing a lot of base and just 2 or 3 different coverages and allowing guys to play fast.
Yeah, that's important. That's exactly what we did. We felt comfortable lining up on our base stuff and just getting after it. And so, when you're able to do that, you don't have to complicate anything. And when guys are seeing the, results, guys just play hard, play fast, and play for each other. And on defense, that's important. We don't have time to think. Especially with offenses today. I mean, they're getting the ball out fast. So you got to be wide open.
You got to be even faster to keep up. And let's talk about strength and conditioning. Obviously, I love Jeff Connors. Just want to get your take on Coach Connors. And I know that he's been known. I don't know if he's killed any men, murdered anybody, but it may when you're doing workouts under him, he may feel like death.
Yeah, Coach C, he's different, and I've been fortunate to be around some really good strength coaches, even during my time at NC State. But Coach C, you're right, he's different. He get the best out of you. You get really strong, you get really fast. It's not many guys in the industry like Coach C. I'll tell you that.
Cadre, give us a glimpse behind the scenes in the weight room. As far as you specifically. Preparing for this interview, I was skimming your bio from, I guess, that 2014 or 2015 season, and I believe you had a 720 back squat.
I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was somewhere up there.
Wow.
Yeah, Coach C. He for us linemen, he was very adamant about us being strong, especially from the ground up. And so again, being in lift groups with guys like Terry Williams and to, having to live up to that height, with me, following his footsteps and, taking on a position after he was to leave. It meant a lot to get in the weight room and really get after it. I thought, our strength staff did a really good job of, preparing us, especially up front. Every day was different in the weight room. It's like you better have your big boy draws on, or it'll be a long workout. So, but we got through it. Like I said, Coach C, and his staff did a really, really good job of making sure the guys was ready to go on Saturdays.
Keandre, another thing that comes to mind, I know Coach Houston didn't like when they brought up the fact, not about the question, but the idea of spring football. And Bubba and I have talked about it. He's played, I've coached, but he's played, so his body, I know he's more familiar of what it's like as far as high school and college football. I don't like the idea of knowing that we potentially could have players playing. I know they might shorten the season, right, Bubba? But I was telling Bubba that, Kadri, but last week. But the fact you could have 23 games in a calendar year, I think that's way too much. And I'm hoping that even if we, as bad as it would be, I'm starting to lean towards playing without fans if we have to do that, which I would hate. But that would be much better than to play a whole bunch of games in 21.
Yeah, man, to play that many games in 21 would take a toll on the guys' bodies. You're talking about, you guys are already doing strength and conditioning, and then to have to practice and then to play that many games. I'm with you. I'd rather there not be fans in the stadium and, us get some games in this year than try to compile all those games next year. And then you're talking about turning around and playing again in the fall. We just need time guys going to need time for their bodies to recover. It's brutal. Football is a violent sport. And so I certainly hope that's not the case where, you're talking about moving some games to the spring and then turn around and playing in the fall. You would think the people that would make these decisions would have, these guys' best interests in mind. So,
and Kadri, the Bubba's house is where the party's at. We'll have in the fall. We'll have everybody over watching on the big screen. We'll watch the ECU games, and if that's what I hate to be at that point, but if that's what it takes for us to have a college football season, I don't mind watching the big screen. I hate to even admit that publicly and here on the air, but if that's what we have to do, that's what we have to do.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I'm a huge advocate for player safety and health. And, as much as we enjoy watching the game, at the same time, these guys are risking a lot. Their bodies, your bodies only can take but so much. So to try to, compile games like that, I think that'd be, I don't think that'd be a good thing to do for the players' sake anyway.
There's no double headers in football, right?
No double headers.
So, Kadri, in that 2014 season, do you have a favorite memory that stands out? Obviously, we started the year very strong. Went down, nearly upset South Carolina. Really, probably should have won that game.
Yeah.
Had an excellent chance, moved the ball up and down the field, and not as much so as the 2016 game when we fumbled 5 times inside the red zone.
Unbelievable.
But I said 20. Maybe if I said 15, I meant 16. But
No, you said 16.
okay. But so after that near miss, we bounced back the following week up at Virginia Tech. Beat the Hokies and then come home and put a 70 spot on the Tar Heels.
Yes.
So was it one of those games, or what are some team memories and also individual memories that stand out from 2014?
Well, that Virginia Tech win was a really, really good feeling. But I tell you, that victory against those Tar Heels, it was a special one. And it was special because, everybody outside of our program, had us losing that game. And our coaches did a really good job of believing in us and, just building that confidence. And, we hear all the trash talk. Everybody say that we are, we would be the little brothers, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So, we took that to heart. And we had a really good week of practice, a really good week of preparation. And, we just embraced that want some, get some mentality that Coach Ruff instilled in us. And it was a great feeling, and then to hear the student section, screaming, "We want 70." Man, that was just so surreal. If we could replay it, I would love to go back to just that one moment. It was great. Like I said, so many people see us as the underdogs, and when you work so hard, and and sometimes even your own fans, kind of write you off. To get that win, it meant a lot to us.
Yeah, 51,000 in the stands. Just a perfect night for football. A beautiful sunset. Putting 70 points on your bitter in-state rival like that, you couldn't have scripted it any better.
It was a great feeling, man. And then to be an Eastern North Carolina guy, you're talking about coming out of high school and thinking that you got to go to Raleigh or to Chapel Hill to experience big-time football in a great environment. Man, to be in that stadium, I mean, that was the best atmosphere I've been in. And like I said, I've visited some places over the years, and I thought that was one of the right at the top. So just kind of put things into perspective.
Exactly. Keandre, that our fans at East Carolina, I'll put our fans up against anybody. I really mean that. I think if the SEC fans had to play us week after week, they would have a deeper appreciation for East Carolina. I've been to other tailgates. I've been to other places that were okay at best. And I know there's some great places. I'm not saying that people don't know how to tailgate, but it's something about Greenville and it's something about Pirate Nation. No matter where you go, at what parking lot you're in, people are always so friendly, offering you pirate beverages or these plates. I don't know, Kadri, have you been back where after graduation now, it's really cool to see these paper plates and they've got these ribs and a whole bunch of stuff on there. It's almost like stuff is going to fall off the plate. They put so much food on there for you and they just hand you a plate. You're walking by innocently and they're like, man said, hey, you got to try some of my ribs or whatever. It's really cool. I mean, that doesn't happen every day.
It sounds like I need to get back to some games more often or get around more often because I'm a guy that love to eat. But no, you're right. I've been able to get back and our fans are amazing. I feel like we got the best fans in the country. The atmosphere there is amazing. So, it's nothing like Pirate Nation, I tell you.
So, Kahadre, after your time with the Pirates, bring Pirate Nation up to speed on what you've been doing these last 5 years or so, because I know, you've represented, Justin Hardy and others.
Yeah. So, quickly after, having to transition from, being a student into the real world of life out the ball. And, for a lot of guys, they struggle with finding, what's the next thing. Fortunately for me, I kind of had a plan together and, I get to stay around sports. And I guess the cool thing about staying around sports and representing players is, I get to advocate for the, players' best interest. I once was a player, so I know, what guys like and what they don't like. And so, you probably see me be vocal about some issues that, that the athletes go through, student athletes go through. I'm in the representation business and it's going very well. Like I said, with Josh Hawkins and Justin Hardy, two former Pirates, great Pirates. It's been a blessing. I'm very grateful, to be, still in sports and, being around the game that I love so much.
Keandre, I had a question as far as I love, like a lot of people watching now, we love our college football, but pro football is obviously big in my mind for my entire life. What's the scoop? What are you hearing as far as I know there was supposed to be a meeting, I think last Friday, and now that I'm like here live on there, it's nothing like I didn't see what happened. But with the owners meeting, is there any developments as far as will we have a season? I haven't heard anything more on the NFL. I assume no news is good news, but I haven't really heard anything.
Well, I will say the NFL does a really good job of keeping information, close to the vest. I'm like you, and so many of us that's in the industry, we don't know what's going to happen. What I can tell you is that I think NFLPA and the NFL, they have agreed on, some of the safety protocols that's in place for guys to return for training camp. And I don't know if you follow many athletes on, Twitter and Instagram. So over the last couple of days, you'll see where these athletes are, very vocal about, just they want these things in place before they, report. And so I think, like I said, the NFLPA and the NFL has come to an agreement on, safety and healthy protocols. So I think what you'll see over the next couple of weeks are guys starting to report back to training camps. And then I guess they're just going to take it from there. If there's an increase in, COVID cases, I guess we're so far off. I really don't know. I wish I did know. Even the players don't know. So it's crazy times.
Help me for those of us that are novices when it comes, because we're not agents. Can you talk about the process of? I know there's times when you hear about agents doing bad things, wrong things. Can you talk about what's the appropriate way to handle? Let's say that I didn't have the talent, obviously, but even obviously Bubba's was a talented football player. But how do you go about getting representation, and what's the right way in case there are people that are watching or maybe future athletes that don't know how the process works?
I guess the biggest thing would be do a really good job of vetting. And don't just rely on the information that the representative or the marketing rep, the manager, whoever is giving you. You got to do your own homework, utilize your football office, dig deep. I mean, it's almost like you got to do a background check. You got so many guys in this industry that take advantage of guys, and it's very sickening. But like I said, you got to ask those tough questions, and just don't rely on the information that, the agents give you. Talk to other players, ask them, who do you represent? And then go ask those guys, what was it like being represented by this guy or this firm? What are some things that they do or don't do? Like I said, it's just like the recruiting process. You have agents that's going to promise you this, promise you that. And at the end of the day, it's about, who can keep their word and who's going to truly have your best interest. So I think that's the most important thing. Like I said, most universities have like the compliance department or like their, football op guys who, get them some, good intel on, who to trust, who not to trust. But still, it boils down to the player doing their own homework, their family doing their homework, and just asking those tough questions.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. We're going to send a pipeline from East Carolina. There's going to be a lot of Pirates. We'll talk about that second under Mike Houston, but I have a feeling that you're going to be a busy guy the next few years with a lot of guys that are going to go pro, and I hope they'll go to a fellow Pirate like yourself.
Yeah, for us, it's about, being a good fit, and everybody's not a good fit.
Right.
We like guys, high character guys, so like guys like Justin and Josh, it's going to do the right things. You don't have to worry about them getting in trouble off the field. And, you wouldn't believe how many messages that we get from guys all over, who are talented and we think, could have a chance in the NFL. But at the end of the day, when we do our homework just like players do their homework. And so, when we get in, when scouts are telling guys that, hey, well, he's a guy that got a lot of red flags, we kind of shy away from them. We tell them why. But, for us, it's about making sure it's the right fit. And, like I said, I love the fact that guys are talented, but at the end of the day, if you're not going to be the guy that show up on time and, stay out of trouble and do the right things, then, it's not worth the headache.
Yeah, no question about it.
I got a question here, Dave. No,
Okay.
as far as Justin Hardy's concerned, I know we talked a little bit about it off the air, Kadre, but what can you tell us as far as Justin's concerned? Obviously, there's certain things you can't divulge, but tell Pirate Nation as much as you can.
I'll tell you what, I never seen him work, as hard as he's working now this off season. He's putting in a lot of work. In fact, he spent a great deal of time out in Arizona, training with some guys against the specialization training. He's working really hard. He's fired up. And he's motivated. Justin's been an underdog his whole life, and he's lit with fire. He's excited about his next opportunity, and that opportunity is going to come. Just about it being the right fit for him. But yeah, Justin, he's the same quiet Justin, but I think when he's back on the field, people are going to see how hard he's worked this offseason.
Being an agent, I had a question. Obviously, one of the big stories, I guess the season's been off for a long time, the longest off season in the history of the NFL. But Patrick Mahomes had signed that $500 million, $500 million contract, 10 years. I think it's $143 million guaranteed. And one of the things I had a question, being that you're an agent, I don't think people realize how much, and I hate to use the term owns you, that's not the right word, but when in his contract, he can't play certain sports. But then again, people don't realize that obviously when you give somebody $500 million and 143 guaranteed over a 10-year period, then they want their player healthy and not. We had a situation, I think, we hear players all the time, even at the college level, they get hurt and out for a season because they're playing another sport or they're doing water skiing or any kind of extracurricular activity in the summertime.
Yeah, no, you're right. When a team make that kind of investment into you, they definitely want to make sure that you're going to be able to deliver. And so anytime that they can, decrease the chances of you getting injured, while not playing football, then, certainly they're going to have those things in place. So I haven't looked at Patrick's contract, but I'm sure there's something in his contract that restrict him from doing things that would, increase his chance of injury. So like maybe owning a motorcycle is probably something that he can't do. But you're right. These teams invest so much money, those restrictions are in place.
Hey, and Dave, not to go down a rabbit hole or get off on a tangent. Excuse me. I just saw Bruce Feldman from The Athletic tweeted that the state of California is playing high school football in the spring.
Oh my God!
I saw that as well. And like I said, if that's going to be the case, I hope football is in the spring going forward. I mean, like I said, to ask a kid to play in the spring and then turn around to play again in the fall, I don't think we have our kids' best interest. They're still growing, their bodies are still being developed, but the chance of injury I feel like is increased. I'm no medical expert, but if you common sense, that many games in that short period of time, talking about practice. It could be. I'm glad I'm not playing football right now.
Well,
and Dave, we talked about 20 to maybe as many as 23, 24 games or something we said a calendar year, but you think about it, if it got cranked up in March, I mean, you're looking at 23, 24 games potentially for some teams. Even if you are playing an 8-game schedule in the spring and then maybe a postseason game or two if they had a postseason. But in the best case scenario, you're playing 20 games and it's going to be like 10 months.
Yeah, we've been told that they, I guess that's from our producer Kyle tonight. It's going to start in December, Cali football. So, but still, regardless, that's still a few months later. Then it's still putting it too close to the. I mean, Kadre and Bubba, you guys help me, but I've always been told that some of these collisions on the field that are happening between players is like a car crash. I don't know if that's true, like being in a car crash, but I've often wondered about that very thing of how many times can your body take those hits.
I've had some, numerous concussions over the years. Like I said, football is a violent sport, and you know what you get into when you sign up for it.
Right.
So yeah, you're right. It's tough in there. It's tough. So like that's why I'm very adamant about guys are gonna need a rest. They're gonna need a break, and to try to cram that many games in that over that period of time. I think I don't think that's having the best interest of the guys.
And as a father, my son's 7 years old. He wants to play football. I'm going to let him play football. I'm going to let him play every sport. He has been very good. His behavior in school, here at home, his grades were good, better than my grades have ever been. And he knows that if he doesn't have good grades, he can't play sports. But as long as he's doing well in school and his behavior at school and at home is good, then I'm going to allow him. That's what I'm looking at. And you know what? If you get hurt, you get hurt. And that may sound cold, but I just don't live my life, and I don't want my children to live their lives in fear. And I believe that they will do very well. I wanted to ask you, as far as Coach Houston, we were talking about earlier. What do you think? What do you think we need to do, from your eyes, being a former football player? I want to get your thoughts about turning things around. We really, I think of Pirate football as 7, 8, 9 wins, somewhere in that I guess win total. And when we don't have anywhere close to 7 wins, then what is it going to take back to climb the mountain again?
Well, I think it's simple, just winning, right? I hate to speculate and say, what they should do and what they shouldn't do. And I think, as fans and, viewers of a program, it's easy to say, what a team need to do and what a team, don't need to do. But at the end of the day, we're not the ones that's in there, lifting weights in those meetings, in those practice sessions. So, I don't like I said, I don't like speculating. But it's simple, it's just win. I don't care if it's ugly, pretty, as long as we win, or we are winning. And I think we're fine. And I think Coach Houston, I had a chance to speak with him a couple of times when I've come back, with Justin. He seems like he's going to be the guy that, turn the ship around and get us going back in the right direction. So, I trust his expertise with the coaches that he got around him. I'm excited about watching Power football again.
I tell you what, when you think of the likes of, Keziah Everett and Travion Freshwater on your side of the ball, oh my gosh! I know those guys are redshirt freshmen, but man, those guys are tremendous talents. And Travion could have played anywhere at 4-star, and I'm sure Keziah Everett, I know he had offers, but you look at a lot of those guys that are coming up. I know they're young, but I think one thing I like to remind fans, including myself, I'm talking to myself, it's very hard in the society we live in, the fact we've had so many losing seasons, to be patient. But I think if we are patient, man, there's a lot of talent now on that football team.
Yeah, like I said, Coach Houston and his staff seen it, and even, you go a step further and say, I think the whole administration from, the AD down to, the football coach, I think those guys are doing a really good job of, being supportive and, doing whatever it takes to get, Pirate Nation back to where we used to seeing, the football team being at. And with that being said, I think the guys are committed. The facilities are up and coming. So those guys, I feel like, are going to work really hard. They seem to really love each other. There seem to be some commodity there. And I think that's important, for a football team. And when you're talking about being successful, and I think that's why we were so, we was decent, is because, we loved each other. We went to war for each other. And like I said, our coaches just believed in us. And I think that's the biggest thing.
And Kadri, before we let you go, you said something earlier and just brought back up again that I failed to ask you earlier. Can you talk about, I know you were talking about being a young kid, 16, 17 years old, and the uniforms, and as far as the facilities are concerned, can you talk about, as a former player, and I know that you played at a different, you're not a player now of 2020, but you're a former player and you're still around a lot of guys. What do you think that we need to get as far as player amenities, or I know that winning is going to be, I know, like you were talking about, winning is what we need to do to get those players in, but what is something, is it indoor practice facility? Is it more a bigger players lounge, or what do you think that's things that we can do to improve our chances on the recruiting trail?
Well, I hate to say I'm from a different generation of players, so I don't know how guys, view facilities and stuff now. But if I had to take a guess, it's probably the same as when I was 16 to 17 years old, entering, college and coming out of high school. I guess, you can, as far as recruiting, you can have the nice player lounges and all that. But in reality, I'll be completely honest with you. When you get there, guys aren't just in the facilities like that. Well, in like the players' lounges and stuff. I mean, they go get treatment. The training room But other than that, it's in and out. We spend so much time around the facilities. It's like when we get that chance to get away, we get away. So, having the players lounge with all the games and TVs, that's all nice and everything. But I think once guys get to college, they probably see that, man, we don't really use it that much. I think the biggest thing that a program probably can get is the training table. And that's one thing that I noticed, when I was at NC State and then I got to ECU, I was just very confused about, the training table situation at NC State. We had our own dedicated, place to eat, on campus. And then right there, even in our football facility, we had our own, dining where you eat breakfast as a team, you eat, dinner as a team. And then that menu, you're talking about steaks, crab legs. I mean, you're getting the best of the best, you're getting that proper nutrition. And so when I got to ECU, that was a little bit different. It was like no training table. We might have like some healthy bars and stuff laying out, but as far as like a spread, I mean, it wasn't there. And I think that's a huge selling point. Prior and while you're there.
Were there any as far as you guys, were you guys big gamers back in the day? Were y'all playing Madden, or are you playing any video games?
We'll have the success on the field to generate the revenue and have the money coming into the program from multiple revenue streams where we can have that actual facility in the next few years.
Say it again, Bubba.
I was just saying the training table, that was something that Coach Mo really started pushing, and rightfully so. That's something that needs to continue, and that was no secret. And then Coach Houston came in and still was pushing that. And last year it got better. They had kind of a makeshift training table where they would have catered meals for the guys, the things that they need to be eating in Harvey Hall there in the Murphy Center. But hopefully in the next few years, the program will have the success on the field. The money will be coming in from those, multiple revenue streams, and we'll have that opportunity to build that separate facility that you referenced, like at NC State.
Yeah, and like I said, at NC State, when you're 16 to 17 years old, I mean, you're blown away by the facilities. I mean, at that time, like I said, I visited Auburn, Carolina. I was highly recruited out of high school, and like I said, NC State had, to me, one of the best facilities in the country at the time. I mean, their football facility was literally a one-stop shop. I mean, we had our own study hall there. We had our own training room. The state-of-the-art facilities. I mean, everything was a one-stop shop. And I think like I said, when you're a kid, you're fascinated by that stuff. But you're right, the training table. I think the training table is the most important thing. Guys get the proper meals. Because I tell you, when I got to ECU, I ate like crap. I mean, Zaxby's or
Hey,
there wasn't, and I think the good thing about the training table is that, you have, that strength staff and the nutritionists and everybody that kind of like monitor your food and, everything that you're intaking. And so I think that'd be huge if ECU could get one if they don't already have it.
yeah, we do have.
We do. We actually hired a full-time nutritionist now.
Nice.
Yeah, we do have that. Before we let you go, is there anything you're watching right now on maybe binge watching Netflix or Hulu?
It's funny you asked that. I really don't watch much TV. It's always sports. What's the latest in the industry? So I don't really get a chance to watch anything. And I know you're like, well, sports isn't on TV right now, so what are you doing? It's literally scrolling social media. I mean, I'm not a big movie or TV guy.
Well, I know that you are very busy, and obviously with everything going with NFL. In fact, I know you have you're very kind and generous with your time. I know you're certainly, the CJ2K juice bar. We have that. That's true.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, with Chris Johnson. Appreciate him very much for donating that. But I know you have a Zoom meeting you have to get to. Is there any way that folks can keep up with you, Pirate fans and Pirate Nation can follow you on social media and the like?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I think my Instagram name is like BitHook, I want to say. And then my Twitter handle is Kahadre. So to be, I think it's KHADREE _ or H _ something like that. I don't know. But if you just, search my name, I'll pop up. I'm there. And I'm very active on, Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter. I'm I guess I'm active on social media.
Well, thanks so much for your time, and hopefully we can have a football season. Love to have you back on, maybe in the fall, if we can talk NFL, college, high school, whatever you like to talk in life. But enjoyed having you on. Thank you for all that you did for Pirate Nation and coming back to Greenville to be a Pirate. And proud of you for what you're accomplishing now as an agent.
Thank you, Bubba. Thank you, Dave. I enjoyed being up here with you guys. Anytime. And as always, go Pirates.
All right. Thanks,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Hope you have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Keandre Hooker there and Flexwork Sports in Raleigh, and very cool, Bubba. Appreciate him for the time. And I know that he had a Zoom meeting we wanted to wrap things up. He had a Zoom meeting to get to, and we talked to him at a time about that. So a lot of great things going on in Pirate Nation, and let's just hope. I think it's going to be Wednesday. We'll find out, right, Bubba? Tomorrow, Wednesday, we find out about the I hate to say work stoppage because it's not a work stoppage, but the training going certainly coming to a halt because of COVID-19. The good news is I think that was more of a cautionary measure. Good job by John Gilbert and obviously Ron Mitchelson, the whole ECU and Ryan Robinson, the whole administration for between academics and athletics for kind of like slowing things down. And there's other schools we talked about. Ohio State did for 6 days, and this will be for 7 days as we speak. So it looks like things are going to be back. I'm praying, but it looks things what I'm hearing are going to be good, don't you think? And then we'll get back to workouts.
Yeah, like you said, Ohio State was shut down for 6 days. Obviously, every situation's different. They had actually opened back up the day that we were making the announcement that we would be shutting down on the 15th, and tomorrow's obviously the 21st. So on Wednesday the 22nd, I'm sure there may be another announcement made as far as how things will proceed moving forward. And so hopefully we'll get that good news and we'll be able to resume the workouts, because I think it was 27 positive tests for student athletes and staff out of something like 452 tests.
Right.
And I think a big percentage of those 27 tests had obviously come in the last several days, which is what led to the pausing of all athletics activity on campus. So hopefully things have been getting straightened out. People have been taking the necessary precautions, and we're going to be able to resume activity here in the next couple of days.
No doubt about it. I think that certainly it's terrible for someone to have COVID. However, most people are not going to, it's not a death sentence. And so they did, even though just because I want to remind folks, just because someone tests positive for COVID-19 doesn't mean that they're going to be on a ventilator and they're going to be bad off or anything like that. Some people that I know personally have been bad off, but they did recover. And we just got to be patient. And certainly, like I was saying, I want to get your take, Bubba, because you and I both, and I know Kyle, we all look forward to going to Pirate games. But if you have a choice, let me ask you this question, Bubba. I'm going to give you a tough one before we go. If you have a choice of having a football season with no fans or spring football 21, which do you take?
I don't know. It's a tough call because I don't have all that information that you would need to make that decision. Of course, from a selfish standpoint, part of me would say this fall just because I want to have Pirate football to watch, but not having those numbers in front of me as far as all the operation expense, et cetera, and you'd certainly have that TV revenue coming in, but not having any revenue for sales. So I guess you would have some there, because likely a large percentage of the fans would probably tell the athletic department that they can keep that money that they paid for the tickets, but nonetheless, you would certainly have a large shortage of the revenue coming or not coming in for concessions, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, from a selfish standpoint, you'd like it to be played this fall, but I can certainly understand why it would be moved to the spring. And I can also understand why the spring is absolutely a last case scenario because of all the other logistics that we've talked about quite a bit at this point.
Yeah, I think that if I think that there's more, my personal opinion, at this point right now, until we hear, who knows what's going to happen. We always say that, but in the next couple of weeks. But as of right now, my gut feeling tells me that there's more of us that are in the stands that would be at risk of getting COVID-19 than those players. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but obviously I'm not a medical expert. I'm not pretending to be a doctor on social media, on Facebook Live, or live on our
But
YouTube
you did
channel.
say the Holiday Inn Express last night.
I did. You're right. You got me. The one on Moy Boulevard in Greenville. No, I'm kidding. No, I really feel like that. I really feel like with our chances are good. And until, Coach Houston was talking about on PRL this afternoon with Troy Dreyfus and Clip Rock, the very fact that, until we hear different, that's the kind of guy I am. Until I hear different, we're playing Marshall on August 29th. That's the way those players have to be, the mentality, the mindset they have to have. And that's exactly what the coaches are. Can you imagine, Bubba? They're not going to do this. But can you imagine if you have the mindset of like, we're not going to play, and then like a week before the game, you go, oh my God, we are going to play. They have to they're going to have to be prepared regardless. So they might as well go ahead and prepare. They're playing on August 29th. And, God forbid, but if they move where it's only conference only, we had Commissioner Resco. If that's the case, we had him on last Friday, but if that's the case, then so be it. But right now, as we speak, July the 20th at almost 9 o'clock Eastern, they're going to play August 29th until we hear different.
Yeah, you got to approach it that way. I mean, you've heard Coach Houston as well as probably most coaches across the country and athletic directors and just everyone involved. I mean, you have to approach it that way. If not, then there's no way you're going to be able to compete and put on the event in the case of athletic administrators and marketing folks. And I mean, you got to approach it like we're playing here in less than a month and a half. But Dave, as far as some of the upcoming 50 and 50s, 50 Pirates in 50 days will continue on Tuesday afternoon. We'll catch up with former East Carolina wide receiver Steven Rogers, and then on Wednesday, we will hear from former Pirate defensive back Rocco Scarfone. And that one with Rocco is actually at 8:15. So enjoy some breakfast after arriving to work and hear Rocco Scarfone.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of pushback from, by the way, Bubba, from employers because they're upset. The productivity has gone way down because people are watching 50 Pirates in 50 days. Thank you for making it very successful yet again. A lot of views, a lot of listens. Thank you so much. I did want to say that. Tomorrow night, folks, we have one of my friends, love Rachel Barbeau. She's going to be with us, changeofnarrative.org. You can check her out. And she's got a lot of great stuff. I saw another thing today. It's called Sunday Soul. Check that out. That's on YouTube. And Rachel Barbeau is fantastic on Sirius XM announcer. And I know she said she'd do a show with me sometime. So maybe, maybe she'll be on the Sports Check with us all the time. This is my show and our show, and love it very much. And I know, Bubba, we've got a lot of other guests that we're working on right now. And Wednesday, very excited to have one of our favorite Pirate coaches on too, right?
Absolutely. Catching up with Kim McNeil. Coach McNeil has been on the show numerous times. I'm looking forward to hearing how things are going for her and the women's basketball program at East Carolina. And we'll also be joined by East Carolina women's basketball alum Jada Payne, who had some time in the WNBA with the Mystics and also spent a little time in the coaching ranks and is now finishing up a master's at North Carolina A&T. So we'll talk to her as well as Coach McNeil. And that's at 1:30 on Wednesday afternoon.
A lot of stuff coming up and a lot of people we're working on behind the scenes that you'll be very happy. I'll just put it like that right now. We don't like to make promises until we have all the things ironed out. There are people that are coming on, but we haven't worked out the dates. So we'll definitely do that. Thank you for watching tonight. So whenever you're watching or listening, means a lot. Bubba, thank you so much for your hard work on 50 Pirates in 50 days and all your work behind the scenes. Miss Kyle from LaGrange, of course, Tonight he's on certainly on assignment, I'm sure, and we'll have him back very soon. So don't worry, he's with us right here. You've been watching and listening to 50 Pirates in 50 Days. I want to thank Cadre Hooker. Appreciate him very much. Enjoyed his visit. Thank you, Bubba Rosenbaum. I'm Dave Richmond, and you've been watching The Sports Objective. Go Pirates.